The leak of the carcinogen hexavalent chromium from Orica's chemical plant at Newcastle has provoked considerable fallout. Although only a small quantity of the chemical may have been leaked over the suburb of Stockton, multiple failures in public safety procedures have been exposed. Now there are two formal inquiries underway, one parliamentary and another by Brendan O'Reilly, former Director General of the Department of Premier and Cabinet. Shortly, the Minister, Robin Parker, in a studio interview, first Caro Meldrum-Hanna with the Stockton incident and the trouble with Orica.
3 weeks ago, as dusk was falling over Newcastle, north of Sydney, a silent catastrophe was unfolding at Orica's ammonium nitrate plant at Kooragang Island. The toxic chemical hexavalent chromium was leaking from one of the plant's vent stacks and into the atmosphere.
And that chemical is a carcinogen, it causes cancer by inhalation, according to the International Agency of Research into Cancer.
The leak is said to have lasted for around 30 minutes.
Then we gather there was quite a long delay, anything up to 16, 17 hours, before the company notified the regulatory agency, and then I gather there was another significant wait until the regulatory agency, the governments, informed the residents.
Another 2 days passed before residents in and around Stockton were told, through letterbox drops and door knocks, that the leak had even occurred.
What are the long-term effects for him? And, we haven't been told anything about how much has been leaked.
As the days passed, community outrage at being left in the dark steadily increased.
I just wanted to ask, is Orica aware there is a Stockton disaster plan?
Not specifically, I'd have to say. I am.
It's a specific one for Stockton.
After tonight and in the weeks and months ahead, as I said, we're very keen to work with the community.
Just a call to 000 would have been sufficient to put that in place.
The chemical that we made during the incident that came out of the vent stack, that came out of the chimney, was a chemical that we don't have any experience with. So we have the MSDS for the catalyst, but...
What you doing? Exactly. Why are you there if you don't know what's coming out of the place?
What they've got to do is put somebody in jail. That's the one thing that we can do to make sure that it will not happen again.
Happen again, it did. Just 12 days after the unlawful release of hexavalent chromium at Kooragang, and while Orica was still hosing down the mess left across town, there was a second leak, an arsenic spill in the Hunter River.
Well, I think it's thoroughly disgusting, the fact that they can be so negligent to let another spill happen here after what they did to us last week. They let our families live and play and eat that carcinogen.
This is a very, very large company with a lot of political clout. I think it's good to remember Orica is the largest explosive chemicals company in the world.
Australian-owned and publicly listed, Orica has operations in around 50 countries, including explosive plants in Germany, Brazil, Indonesia and the US.
Successive governments, not just this one, have just not been willing to do the hard work and to really call this company into line once and for all.
Orica declined 730's requests for an interview for this story. The company has a long and blemished history of spills, leaks and breaches.
They are responsible for some of the biggest contamination issues in Australia.
In 2003, it was confirmed the cancer-causing chemical ethylene dichloride, or EDC, had been leaking for decades from a hairline fracture in a storage tank at Orica's botany plant and into the water table and the botany aquifer, creating a massive underground toxic plume. According to figures compiled by the Conservation Council of New South Wales, Orica has breached its licence 131 times since the year 2000. And in that time, it didn't receive one prevention, clean-up or penalty notice.
And only once are we aware were they ever taken to court by the department Some of those breaches were very serious.
Under the relevant Act, companies like Orica are under no legal obligation to notify the community about a leak or chemical exposure. The only requirement is to inform the regulatory agency or the government as soon as practicable.
We need a proper, independent inquiry into the pollution laws and pollution licensing of hazardous industries in New South Wales, and then we need that inquiry to be acted upon urgently.